And I think that we still have, you know, the best handling car. But
hot off a podium finish in Detroit, debuts a brand new BMW E46 here. The biggest advantage he anticipates is the use of a wider track car and wider tires, which should affect him more grip. The Corvette teams have been busy in the GM wind tunnel. Recently, a rear wing was added to the Vets, but it was determined it did not generate enough downforce, so the chord length was increased by 2 inches. They also worked on the front splitter, which they felt was creating lift at high speeds. Scotty B. White is utilizing these changes on his return to the series for the West Coast swing. Another BMW to keep your eye on is the number 31 machine of Steve Dinan. Now, his name is synonymous with BMW enthusiasts for his aftermarket tuning business.
Well, those are some great stories, Calvin. But in Detroit, Don and Bobby Sack teamed up with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and what has evolved is truly one of the great success stories.
Motorsports has been used as a medium to not only promote product, but also worthwhile causes over the years. Now in Detroit, the Grand Sport Racing team utilized their race cars to help bring awareness to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children by placing a picture of a missing child on the hood of the race cars. Now, although Bobby and Don Sack had a frustrating time out on the racetrack, since the race, there's certainly been some more promising results in the news. Tell us about that, Don.
Well, last night, Tori Wollinger was brought home. She was found, and the whole program that we're doing now makes it worth it.
Well, that's great news. Now, Bobby Sack is going to continue to run in the GT Championship. Are you going to try and work with this worthwhile cause for the rest of the season, Bobby?
Well, each race we're going to feature a different child on the car, and with the help of Valvoline and other companies, hopefully we can get more children out to people that may not see them at other places. And you know, with showcasing cars and sponsors in this series, now we've got another cause to showcase, and it's great how it works.
That's just a phenomenal development. I think it's just remarkable, and how happy that development could be. This track, Derek, we've talked about it, one of the best. Let's take a look at the Forge Line Wheels track map.
A track of many different features. Most noticeable, of course, is the great elevation changes. Now, the surface here tends to be rather dirty, very tight, as you can see, very twisty. Good passing opportunities despite the hills, where turn 11 very often is where most of the action is.
Speaking of action, we had it in qualifying, and Calvin, you're with our pole winner.
In qualifying yesterday, it was Johannes van Overbeek who claimed his second Super Chips pole award of the season. Now, when he came here, he didn't expect this Porsche to be fast around Sears Point Raceway, but he certainly fast as his local track. Johannes' tire management and the start seem to be critical factors here today.
Yeah, no question, Calvin. Keeping the tires underneath you for 50 minutes is going to be just critical, but the Flextronics, Intel, G&W Porsche has been great all year, and I think we've got our starts down pat, so we'll see what happens.
And as always, the pole sitter is looking out for those Audis, all-wheel drive. You got Galati on the second row looking to get a jump. McMillan alongside him, and P.D. Cunningham. He's got a weight sort of like handicap this week, but he's going to be fast on the outside of the front row.
When we come back, we'll take a look at the rest of the starting lineup and, of course, have the start from here at Sears Point. Field starting to take up position on the grid. Speaking of which, let's get right to that here. Amazing story. The top 9 cars covered by less than a second. The top 14 covered by less than 2. The front row, Johannes van Overbeek, his second pole of the season, 4th of his career, joined by Peter Cunningham, of course, has had a great season already. Row number 2, Mike Galati to the inside, your points leader, and Jeff McMillan, the new BMW, working quite well. Row 3, Phil McClure, just a remarkable qualifying effort for him, and Mike Fitzgerald back with the team that he started the season with. Row 4, Justin Marks, the young rookie, and the legend, Derek Bell, in the Legends of Motorsports car. In the 5th row, Bobby Sack and Scotty B. White making a return to the championship. But a great story developing, 11th, 12th, 13th.
Yeah, Jackson Adams and Bob Miller are tied, are all running 6th, 7th, and 8th in the points. And 15th in that starting grid is Steve Dinan, at last making a return to motorsports.
I mentioned Scotty B. White coming back. Mark Dixon is back as well, driving another Grand Sport Corvette. Lights are on. We're ready to go. 23 laps of action here at Sears Point. Wow, look at the move by Bell. Customary from the Audis, but look at the fan out well at the back of the pack. That's Scotty White, and that's Jimmy Adams. Boom! Coming together, first turn.
Never even made it around the first turn before Jimmy Adams gets dumped off into the gravel.
Tough way to start the day on board with Cunningham. Looking back now at Overbeek, Cunningham got the jump, and has the early lead. McMillan third. Then it is Galati, but look at Bell. Bell taking a run at his teammate. Bell's inside, and Derek Bell takes the spot.
Well, 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 on board here with Derek Bell. We have seen him normally trail Galati, but today he is on fire. Got a tremendous start and jumps ahead of him. So Derek Bell having his best run so far.
That's McClure taking a look at Galati as well. See if maybe Michael doesn't have a little problem. Let's go back now to Mike Fitzgerald sitting behind those two. Watch him run. When you did your well with Derek Bell, I thought maybe there was something poetic coming, but
no, but D. Bell is running very well right now. For half a lap anyway.
At least, yeah, there he is. Sits in fourth behind McMillan, then Galati behind him, then McClure, then Fitzgerald. And the rest of the pack streaming through. There is Bobby Sack. A little bit further back.
These S's, Greg, they just look easy when you drive, when you see them on television, but it's very difficult to keep the power on and clip the curbs and come off this last right-hander, in particular with a head of steam, to stop somebody going down the inside like Van Overbeck does to P.D. Cunningham.
Oh, and I don't think P.D. expected that at all, and Overbeck just shot underneath. You see P.D. get loose, exiting the turn.
P.D. now in the NSX. Less boost, less revs, therefore a lot of time on the dyno with this car to try and bring it back up to speed. And it doesn't look too bad right now. Still able to run at the front despite the success weight this carries in addition to the boost cut.
And the loss of revs, although that's not a huge factor, it still hurts a little bit. We're on board with Cunningham. By the way, you saw that what looked like dust and debris on the track. That's the chalk they used to mark the start lines. Let's check in with Calvin.
Well, Steve Dinan immediately had problems on the starting line. As soon as he dumped the clutch, that BMW M Coupe moved nowhere, and he's pushed off to the side. I just had a quick word with him. He said some kind of driveline failure, no power to the wheels.
Wow, what a terrible development. Dinan's so looking forward to his return to the championship, one he's had so much success and fun with in the past.
Yeah, Steve Dinan has about 60 people or more working, engineers building BMW performance parts. Look at Carol. Now, this is a good story here, Greg, because Carol Holfelder, see her right here, is a paraplegic. This young lady drives with all hand control. It's a great job.
Also, the lone Ferrari in the back. We're on board here with Bob Miller, and he is under attack. James Safronis, boy, that's as close as it gets. Safronis BMW taking a run at Miller's Porsche, not there. Into those S's. You were talking about how difficult this is. One of the problems here is if you mess up at one point, you end up getting offline for almost the remainder of. Let's go back and take a look at what may have happened to Carroll. Just ran wide.
Ran wide on the way in. Of course, it's so dusty and dirty offline. But Carol Holfelder, the paraplegic, all hand controlled in that Ferrari, has a harmless spin.
Let's go back a little bit closer to the front at this point. You see McClure still trying to work on Galati. Couldn't get it done there. That's the turn 11, the hairpin now. That really, it's almost like a triple apex corner here as they start to climb the serious hills of Sears Point.
That he won the championship with. But here at Sears Point, he's debuting a brand new race car, the BMW E46. Jeff, you've switched a little bit midstream here. How is that going to affect your championship chances?
Well, hopefully it's going to help them a lot. That's what we built a new car for. We would have liked to have it out a little sooner, but we got her sorted out pretty well, and here we are. We're shaking it down, and looks like we're competitive already.
It certainly is a beautiful race car. Tell us about the main component changes between this car and the old car. The bodywork, for example, looks a little wider, is it?
It's about 4 inches wider track. The wheelbase is about the same. The car is a bit slipperier through the air, which should give us a little bit more on the top end. We have a little more downforce, a little bigger rear wing, so it's a much better package that BMW has come out with, and we're looking forward to getting in the race.
With the wider bodywork, what does that do for the suspension and tire package that you're running this year?
Well, it allows us, there's more room under the car to get wider tires, so SCCA's has allowed us to change to wider tires. On the old car, we had 245s in the front, 265s in the rear. Now we have 265s in the front and 295s in the rear. And that's more tire on the road is a good thing.
Last year, it was consistency that won Jeff McMillan the championship. But this year, he's hoping that it's going to be a change in equipment to this new E46, which will give him the boost in points necessary to get him back on top.
Well, he certainly has all the skills, and if he's got the equipment underneath him, that's going to be obviously a tight package. And right now, he's showing pretty good form, sits right there in third behind Petey Cunningham, who's got a nice points lead and is obviously one of the quicker drivers on the circuit. He's doing a nice job.
As we saw last year with Jeff McMillan, he has the ability to be very, very consistent over a long championship run year, and that's what it takes ultimately to become a champion.
Van Overbeck, as we're on board with Cunningham, looking back at McMillan, starting to ease away a little bit. Now, we saw the pass he made in that hairpin on that first lap. Weight hurts you in braking as well as it does in acceleration. Porsche brakes legendary. Looks like he may just have the package to be able to ease away here.
Yeah, he looks very good here, although he didn't think the 911 would have an advantage here. But remember, Johannes Van Overbeck, despite the name, is a California boy. He knows this racetrack very, very well, and that gives him extra speed here.
Look at Marks. That's one of the Porsches on the outside of McClure.
Oh, they hit. They touched.
A light touch, but a touch nonetheless. And look, Marks is absolutely bound and determined side by side through the S's. You don't see that often.
Wow, but eventually somebody had to put the brakes on, as the 911 did, and let the Corvette go by. But that was side-by-side stuff with dare you, dare me. I'm glad somebody backed off, but we would have seen dust and tires fly everywhere.
Obviously, Fitzgerald had a great seat for that. Justin Marks' teammate to Van Overbeck. The cars both seem to be working pretty stoutly here. Galati now has gone back around Bell, picked up that spot. McClure right behind Bell. Then Justin Marks, then Fitzgerald, and then Justin Jackson. You mentioned he started in the 11th spot, 6th in the points, and Justin has closed up, moved well into the top 10.
Here's one of these great uphill climbs. The beauty of the onboard cameras that we have here is you literally see what the driver sees. So when you climb these hills, you can't see what's down the other side. You have to have confidence that the road is clear when you arrive doing more than 120 miles an hour.
That's when the corner worker becomes your very best friend.
Absolutely, he is your friend. You just hope he doesn't wave that yellow flag, even if it is only a one-station yellow.
Now, here's that very quick right-hander. Well, we jump ahead now, and this is the drop into the carousel. It's a blind drop down into that, exactly what you were talking about. There's your lead group of three. Cunningham right in the middle now in that second spot. Then McMillan, the BMW. There's Galati. And once Galati got around Bell, he's been able to open it up a little bit, but he's lost some ground.
Beginning to pull up on Jeff McMillan's brand new BMW as you look back down through the field. This is Bob Miller. Again, that is Bobby Sack.
Whoa, did Miller come from way back to make that move? Oh, Sack up on the curb, saved it.
Do you know what happened there? Miller chopped back, and Bobby Sack's nose was already inside him. Bobby Sack, I believe, took avoiding action to avoid an incident when rode up on the curb and got that Corvette sideways.
And that's just what we were talking about a little bit ago. He got crossed up early in those S's, and he wasn't able to get that sorted out until right now. He really got behind in the steering, as they say.
And then lost the momentum, and that was what allowed Safronis to come right up behind him.
That's Safronis right in front of Scotty White. Nice to see Scotty back in the championship. Then Safronis, the all-blue BMW, putting the pressure on Bobby Sack. Meanwhile, let's go back to Derek Bell. Take a look at some of the telemetry here as they climb the hill.
Right behind his teammate Galati. So a good run here for Derek Bell. Earlier in this year, if something went wrong with one of these Audis, inevitably, oh, man, right up behind, he hits him. Right up behind him and actually makes contact. But
Mike went way wide, Derek.
Derek has had such bad luck all this year, but today running very well. How did he get that close that fast to his teammate Mike Galati?
It looks like Galati totally missed the apex on his climb up the hill, and to get gathered up, if you will, he had to back way off, and Derek just caught him in a heartbeat.
Four-wheel drive.
On board Mike Fitzgerald, looking back at Justin Jackson. The battle continues a little bit deeper in the pack, but up front it is currently Van Overbeck. Welcome back to Sears Point. Great battle happening for 15. Oh! That was Mark Dixon, and he got into the back of Mark Anderson and clipped him pretty good. Anderson driving the South San Francisco Auto Parts Porsche 928. Dixon, as we mentioned, driving one of the Hallmark Trailers vets. Now we're on board with Cunningham looking back at McMillan, but Dixon, that was just optimistic.
That was a no-hoper. He had no hope of pulling out that move, so he drop kicks the 928 off into the boondocks. Meanwhile, the brand new, pristine BMW in a battle for second with P.D. Cunningham.
Up and over one of those blind brows. Look at that little bit of a wiggle. Car gets light, trying to squeeze the power down.
There's no doubt that, as P.D. Cunningham told us at the top of the show, this NSX is probably the best handling car in this series. Seldom do you see this car slip and slide around. Because remember, it's got the engine, the main weight mass in the middle of the car, which is a real race car position.
Now we drop back. There's Derek Bell battling with Phil McClure. Calvin, what's happening with Derek?
Well, Derek Bell this weekend is having a strong run. He's up to fifth, but he's been working all week long with the Audi doctor. He's got a pinched nerve in his back. When he's standing and walking around the paddock, he's in an absolute agony, and he said the best chance I have to get relief is when I'm actually driving the race car. So he's been in some pain this weekend. But there's another pain to him all season long are those Corvettes. They beat up on him at Texas. They beat up on him at Mosport, and right now he's got his mirrors full with McClure.
Well, the beating looking to commence again. McClure really trying to work Bell over, but Derek wisely protects that inside into turn 7.
Yeah, this is a good run for Derek Bell, a professional run. You see the line he takes, defensive when necessary to hang on to that position.
Riding with Mike Fitzgerald in 7th, back to Justin Jackson in 8th. And Jackson, off of one of his worst qualifying efforts, is coming back in a big way here, putting up some good form, trying to run down Mike Fitzgerald.
And here's the run down to turn 11, the hardest braking zone on this racetrack. See down the inside. Look at this power oversteer coming off.
That was a huge wiggle by Justin Jackson. Really got it crossed up. See if he's going to be able to hang on. Looks like he was able to let it settle. Meanwhile, Bell and McClure continue their scrap for 5th. There's Derek. The Speedvision Legends of Motorsport Audi, McClure right behind, and Fitzgerald now starting to join that group.
Fitzgerald joins this group, but they have not been dropped by McMillan or Galati, because they are still pretty much all in the line here. So Derek Bell hanging on very well to Galati as people begin to join this freight train.
As you see on board with Justin Marks having a good run in the Rookie of the Year points battle. He, of course, teammate to your leader, Van Overbeck, and he's closed back up on Justin Jackson. He dropped off just a little bit here. In front of them, you see Fitzgerald. Interesting story there as we watch Jackson having a strong battle, as I said, with Justin Marks. Fitzgerald back with the team he started the season with, but in the interim, he's run with 3 different teams, including White Lightning Peterson Motorsports.
Loves to drive anything with wheels on it. Does Fitzgerald. Back on board now with Jeff McMillan, still in the vain chase at the moment of P.D. Cunningham. Meanwhile, you can see Johannes Van Overbeck has a now probably, what, a 2-second advantage over P.D.
P.D.'s been able to stabilize, it looks like, and you notice when we look at Peter's windshield, you'll see a plus 110. That's that rewards weight. On top of all the weight penalties, the boost reductions, the rev reductions, he's carrying 110 pounds of that. You see McMillan is only carrying 20. McMillan, oh, did he get a run? He's going to try up the inside. Brakes.
Can he hold it? Can he hold it? Yes, can he hold it to the inside? Here comes the drag race.
Boy, it is a drag race down the front straight right by you, Calvin, and looks like McMillan may have made it work.
Well, P.D. Cunningham just lost second spot there to Jeff McMillan, and in the car, he's reporting that he's seen a bad reading on his air-fuel mixture readout. Well, that basically tells us the mixture of the engine that shows that it's running lean. Now, that may be an injector problem, and the crew are concerned if that is a real reading, that it could burn down the engine by the end of this race. So, a lot of concern here. Points are essential to keep in that battle with Galati for the championship. They need to finish.
It's a very good point, isn't it? I mean, he's looking for a championship here. Yeah, he'd like to run at the front, but he just can't afford to fry that engine, probably literally as well as figuratively.
Right, a whole slew of 911s here. Now, 911, we talked about the weight of the NSX being in the middle. The 911, of course, has the engine at the back. That tends to make these cars oversteer. All the weight's in the back, a big momentum. Oh! We have the rear weight spinning this one around here.
Justin Marks, and it just totally got away from him. Got away with it in terms of not getting into anything.
And Greg, when you mention get away, Once they begin to go, it's very often difficult to get 911 back once it gets too far on the oversteer.
Because of the weight in the back and the centrifugal force?
Yeah.
Here comes Jimmy Adams. Now he's taking a run at Scotty White. Right in front of Scotty is Bobby Sack, and he's quite loose. Meanwhile, Calvin, his teammates in the pits.
Well, Mark Dixon has brought the 08 Grand Sport Racing Corvette into pit lane. He says he can't get the thing slowed down. He doesn't want to risk getting into any of the cars out there. He's certainly new to this series, and he wants to earn the respect. But this car has really done a great campaign here, along with Bobby Sack's car. They're really making a campaign for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and that's really a great campaign. They've already found one missing child and hooked them up with their parents.
Yeah, Calvin, what an emotional story and what an ultimately very satisfying one. And Dixon, his experience in the championship, he knows he's got a wounded car that could affect others in the championship, and it's nice to see that maturity where he's deciding to park it and let everybody else conduct their business. As they are at some speed here, 9 of 23 done here at Sears Point. And he sits in 6th, chasing Derek Bell, who sits in 5th in the Speedvision Legends machine. This is down into turn 7. Boom! And he nudges Bell, nudges him and moves him right out of the way, and Fitzgerald sweeps through underneath as well.
The old smack on the back trick just to make you miss the apex. Open up the door on the inside, and boom, Phil McClure goes through, as does Fitzgerald. Derek Bell will not be impressed with that little move.
A bit of a nudge on the old chrome horn button.
Absolutely.
Now we're going to go back and take one more look at it. There's Bell, and here's the replay.
It's the braking zone. Watch it right here. Boom, there's the impact. Derek has to steer straight ahead to keep the car straight. Loses 2 positions.
And Justin Jackson now is just glommed onto the back of Bell, and he will not, as you said, be amused if Jackson able to get by as well. Go back on with Derek Bell here. Look at some of the telemetry. You see where they're working the track. Here goes that long climb up the hill. The 4-wheel drive at this section here, where you're up and working the twisty bits and up and over those rises, is that a distinct advantage?
No, I don't really think so, because these corners are not that tight. They sort of medium speed that open out. So it's not that it's an advantage, but it's certainly not a disadvantage to the other cars in this event.
This track, though, reportedly sometimes gets a little bit greasy as the event goes on, gets a little bit slippery, and there you might see the advantage of the 4-wheel drive come on.
And if you look around and see the nice California brown grass, it doesn't rain very much here either, so that will not be an advantage for the 4-wheel drive today.
Meanwhile, there's McClure, then Fitzgerald, Bell, Justin Jackson sweeping down through the carousel. Ooh, boy, Bell gets awful close to that tire barrier right there, using that as his apex marker, apparently.
See how far ahead McClure is now, just in 1 lap. I mean, he is a good 2-3 seconds further up the road, and on board now with Justin Mark. That is Bobby Sack right ahead. Now, we've seen Bobby Sack hit curbs, get sideways. He is pretty aggressive in this Corvette, is Bobby Sack.
This is the battle, essentially, for 11th. Mark sits in 12th, trying the outside line. And, well, Sack just has to stay put here, and he should be able to freeze him, and does so. So Sack holds on, but Justin Marks, after that spin, trying to work his way back into the top 10. That's James Safronis right behind him, and then Scotty White, who's been running a lot of SCCA club competition in the Touring 1 division, which is a pretty high zoo division, in a Corvette as well.
And of course, speaking of other racing categories, Bobby Sack has been to many Trans Am races with his dad, Don, who was a long-time Trans Am competitor.
Don tried his hand at World Challenge Racing in Detroit, and of course that was the development of that great story. Meanwhile, Scotty B. White on board him. That is Safronis right in front of Scotty White as they come out of that hairpin. Boy, you can just hear that vet just lugging through that turn.
Lots of torque, that big old American V8, but lots of torque just powers these cars away, particularly from the low-speed hairpins.
Safronis up front, you see the sponsor sometimes, SSF, on the side of that car. It's South San Francisco Auto Parts, and they are so supportive of many of the BMWs, and in fact, Mark Anderson's Porsche in this World Challenge Championship, very involved as well. And TC Klein preps the car for Safronis. Meanwhile, back on board with Mr. Bell as he's trying to reel in Mike Fitzgerald in the Peterson Motorsports White Lightning Porsche right in front.
It's amazing how important track position is, because Derek Bell is able to run as fast as Fitzgerald, but because he lost that momentum, he can't make it up again.
Meanwhile, Petey Cunningham, with those engine management problems of some sort, maybe has found a way around it, at least temporarily. He's not losing much ground to McMillan at this point. Problem for them. Van Overbeck, as you can see, disappearing off into the distance here as we approach halfway. Search for perfection and getting to the front is one that is never ending in motorsport. Meanwhile, let's go back up front. And you can see now that McMillan's drawn away a little bit from Cunningham. Here is a great battle, though. McClure all over the back of Mike Galati. Galati sits in the 4th spot right now. Keep in mind, Galati comes in here with the points lead, and this could arguably be one of his worst finishes of the season, which if he gets a 4th, that says quite a bit.
And dare I say it, Phil McClure knows exactly how to pass an Audi. You just follow him closely, you drop kick him, he moves out of the way, and you go by. Is he allowed to do that twice?
Science at its best. The science of the successful pass. But you think about it, Galati here, his worst finish was 4th in Detroit. And so he's having a good run. Now, obviously, he's going to be keeping his eyes glued to that mirror.
And meanwhile, Derek Bell still struggles to go any faster. Look at Jackson side by side with Derek Bell on the run to the right-hander. This is a tight corner. Bell is on the inside line and should be able to keep the advantage. Where is Jackson going? That is not the racing line.
Yeah, Jackson was headed to Napa.
He was.
Gathered it up, but and then he clips a curve right there, Derek. Concentration lapse maybe just a little bit. You make a mistake like that, sometimes tough to get that focus back real quick.
Yeah, Fitzgerald still ahead, looking back to D. Bell.
That's that turn 10.
Yeah, vital right-hander. You got to come off here with a big head of steam down to this 2nd gear hairpin right-hander.
Watching Bell set up and over that marking. They almost go all the way over it now. They keep nudging those tires inward, it seems, every time you come here to Sears Point. Now Bell looking forward to Fitzgerald. Down by the start-finish line. Here's the climb. This is okay, but right here it goes very steep, very abrupt change.
Yeah, difficult to pass here. This really is not a passing zone because, he gets sideways. Did you see that Fitzgerald sideways on the way in before he even got to the apex? Lost all the momentum and gives Derek Bell a chance to maybe pounce. Not quite far enough yet, though. Not quite up beside him.
Right as you get a run going here, there's another corner coming up, and you got to back out of it, make sure you're in line for that.
Yeah, hard to make the pass here unless, of course, somebody makes a big enough mistake. And we saw Fitzgerald there make a mistake. Justin Marks makes a mistake.
His 2nd, he had a spin earlier. Looks like he got away with it again. Meanwhile, Bell down through the carousel here.
Remember what Johannes von Overbeck said at the top of the show. Tire management is critical here for the length of this race. It's just under 1 hour. Well, the tires on the rear of Fitzgerald's car, the rear tires certainly seem to be a bit slippy and slidey.
So look at what happened to Marks. Looks like it just completely got away from him as he approached turn 2.
Rear tires again, maybe.
Back with Fitzgerald, glancing back at Bell. Battle for 6th here. Bell wants it. Fitzgerald occupies it. Not far behind them is Jackson. Working the S's. Nice speed shot right there.
Great speed shot, because television cameras sometimes just don't really show the real speed, the real velocity, the real air turbulence as these cars just whiz by. But that camera shot gives you a real good feel for what it's like to stand right there.
Really.
Really.
Oh, he got a run this time, but once again, it's just so tough to pass in this section. But boy, there are spots on the track where Derek is very, very effective. Now they're coming up on lap traffic. It's going to be a matter of getting through clean.
Derek Bell
is
right there. He is right there. Very quick. He's now side by side, but it's a left-hander. It's a left-hander. Can he make it stick?
Yes. Oh, boy. No, he didn't. He overshot it, and he ran way wide in that left-hander. I thought it was because Fitzgerald was alongside, but he got so wide, we didn't even see Fitzgerald in the shot. So Bell trying everything he can and still not able to get by Fitzgerald. So Bell remains in 7th. Almost seems like the track of the car is really coming back to him at this stage.
Yeah, because McClure, when he runs somebody down, takes a couple of laps, gets by, and then just shoots away from them. And now he passes Galati and Cunningham in just about a lap, in the same lap. He's flying right now.
And is able to ease away, too. That's the other side of the coin. Now, here comes Bell, and, of course, we're on board with Fitzgerald, and Bell lost ground, but it didn't take long for him to gather it up again, and Bell in 7th, closing up. The battle for 6 resumes.
But it's just so hard to make the pass here. Looking out from the front now of Derek Bell's car as he still continues to chase down.
Here's the battle for 15th. That's David Farmer, the yellow Metrochemical C5 vet, chased by Mark Anderson, who we saw involved a little bit earlier in that South San Francisco Auto Parts Porsche 928, duking it out for 15th right now, occupied by Farmer. Anderson trying to recover. Boy, that's a step back in time. That's a car that's been gone away. Now look, look at the right rear wheel. Wow, that's not normal camber in that.
But that was the result of the incident earlier on when he was hit and spun off the road with that right rear side that got the impact. Not enough to slow him, well, not enough to stop him, but certainly enough to slow him down.
Boy, he's obviously made some nice adjustments in his driving style to stay in the hunt here.
But I mean, Mark doing a good job here, but that 928 just never looked like a racing car. It never made a good racing car. It just doesn't have that racing car nimble look to it.
Sounds good, though, that engine in that thing when it's that full song. Great sound to it. Meanwhile, now back on board with Fitzgerald. There's the ever-present Bell. Those two have been duking it out. Derek obviously might love to see some traffic in front of Fitzgerald again. And this time have things go a little bit more his way.
In the middle of these races, sometimes, no matter how right you do things, you can't even make up a couple of inches on somebody you're chasing. And the same person that's ahead of you, no matter how right he does things, he just can't get away. That is the way it is sometimes in these races. But if you're in a championship run, you need to stay mistake-free through these periods.
Here's Fitzgerald, the camera moving around showing you some of the different angles on this turn, down through the exit of the carousel, back onto the further reaches of the drag strip. Now let's go back on board with Galati, and boy, did he get a run on Cunningham. Of course, Petey is wounded, we think, and Galati, this being a serious moment in the points here.
Yeah, Cunningham must be wounded. He must be losing.
You can hear it. Listen to that from Galati's car.
Is that his engine? It is. It is. That is Cunningham's engine. So he's now got a serious misfire. I mean, it's serious at times, but look, it doesn't lose that much power. But Petey Cunningham, definitely wounded, has a misfire. And at this stage, he is basically in hang-on mode. Get as many points as you can and just hang on as best you can.
All acceleration here, Galati. No, Cunningham able to shut the door. Petey, by the way, came in 11 points behind Galati, but on the exit, there you see where it's really hurt Cunningham. That turbo Audi just blew by him.
No power. Petey has no power. Whatever that misfire is just sapping the horsepower from that Acura NSX.
Now, you know what? Also racing here in Sonoma this weekend is the Russell Usack Triple Crown Pro Series, which is the ladder series. Come back to Sears Point, closing in on the end of the 6th round of the championship with Derek Bell chasing, guess who? Fitzgerald. But look who's coming at him. Cunningham. Problem clearly getting worse by the corner, let alone lap, Derek.
Now it just depends how far down the order he drops and how many championship points can he take away, because this day of competitive racing is over for P.D. Cunningham. It is now hang on and pad your championship lead if possible, or at least try and support it with a few points.
Yeah, and he can ill afford that coming in, as I said, 11 points adrift of Galati. He's second in a comfortable second, but this doesn't help. Meanwhile, Fitzgerald looking back once again at Bell. This has been easily one of the best battles on the track. Now on board with Bell, chasing Fitzgerald. And closes up a little bit here.
You mentioned the great battles. Here's one of the frustrating battles for Derek Bell. He is so close, has been beside Fitzgerald and still can't make the pass. This has gone on lap after lap here. So frustration and enjoyment all wrapped in one package for D. Bell.
Derek shifts outside as Fitzgerald protects the inside into 7 once again. Not going to happen here. And one of the nice things about this is you've got two very experienced, two very classy drivers and two very exceptional drivers waging this war. It's been awesome, but it's been clean.
And you can see where the Audi is a little bit faster sometimes, a little bit slower sometimes. But this is a pretty even playing field between Fitzgerald and Derek Bell. Porsche 911 versus the Audi four-wheel drive.
You mentioned earlier as we watch Van Overbeek coming out of the final turn, coming up to, I believe it'll be the white flag. Yep, there it is. Final lap for Van Overbeek. We were talking about the Audi getting quicker if the track gets slippery. One of the things that happens here is you drop tires and that grass and dirt comes on the track. Haven't seen a lot of that, so that's not playing into Bell's hands. Boy, did he get a decent run here. But now the climb up the hill. Here comes Bell.
Fitzgerald is one of the most experienced people on the grid here. So I doubt if he's going to leave the door open for Derek Bell. He chops across there and closes it.
Derek had a notion, but it was quickly dispelled by Fitzgerald. And often that kind of a move costs you a little bit of momentum, but Bell stayed close.
Yeah, cross the top of the hill, then you turn left and go even higher before you turn right, and then you begin to plunge down. What a great racetrack here.
Now keep in mind, this is now the battle for fifth as Cunningham has fallen back. So it takes on a little bit more importance.
Great racetrack, very difficult to make the pass in these sections here. You really can only do it at the end of runs when there's good braking zones, and turn 11 may be Derek Bell's last chance.
He didn't get a great run into the carousel leading into 7 where you can make a pass, but look at that, he's just too far back.
Way too far behind, and he knows it. He would never even attempt that. He's way too far behind. But look at the line that Fitzgerald's on. Defensive line on the inside to make sure Derek Bell doesn't even think of trying to chop down to the apex.
Bell now starts the final run through the S's, hoping for something. Meanwhile, up front, there's Van Overbeek. And boy, McMillan closing it up just a little bit. He's taken a bit back from Van Overbeek, but there's only one corner to go. Van Overbeek drops the hammer on the Flextronics Intel Porsche. Here he comes. If he holds on, he does. His first win in 4 years from pole. McMillan in second, and McClure is third. That's your top 3. Galati running in fourth, and look at this. Here comes Bell. Took a run. Fitzgerald counters with throttle. Boy, Bell tried everything he could, and he's still coming. It's going to go to Fitzgerald.
Great run for Derek Bell, though. What a great fight with he and Fitzgerald. But Johannes Van Overbeek, a lonely run all by himself. But you know what, Greg? McMillan in that brand new BMW, superb today.
Showed his hand with a brand new car. He's going to be a factor, and we'll be right back.
What is the essence of performance? Speed? Traction?
This afternoon.
Yeah, tire management was really key. Every time I tried to slow up a little bit, McMillan was right on me, so I had to pick it up again. But the Flextronics Intel G&W Porsche just did a great job, and I'm really, really proud of these guys. It's been a long time coming.
You guys have really turned things around. You were second at Detroit just a couple of weeks ago. You rebound here with a win. What does the season hold for you now?
Well, hopefully sky's the limit. It's taken a while to get the handle on these cars, but now that I think we're finally getting there, I think nothing but good things.
Awesome job today.
Thanks, Calvin.
The 97 Reno touring car race, his last World Challenge win, but that's over now. McMillan second, but Galati in fourth, but the story's Cunningham.
It really is Cunningham because of the championship potential now.